Hey everyone, welcome back for another consignment update for the December sale. We have got a focus this week. We're going to have artist associated guitars, not necessarily owned by the artists. In fact, I don't think any of these have been owned by the artist, but signature models. And what do I always say? Signature or artist related guitars seem to have proven to be a very good investment. So we've had a run over the last couple of days of signature model guitars come in, so it's all worked out quite nicely to make this video. So it's going to be a bit of a short and sweet video, 10 or so guitars to show you today, but some very lovely things. There may be a few where we're clutching at straws for an artist association just because we want to show you some other nice things at the same time. But let's have a look and hope you enjoy. It is the Gilmour signature Les Paul. So this is coming from a local collection, about 10 minutes down the road. Some nice artist guitars. This one's from 2002. That probably the worst of the condition issues is we've got a bit of a ding to the head there. It's a bit of a shame, but
come back.
There we go. He's got it in shot. But there we go. So the lemon top there. We got a replaced Seymour Duncan pickup in the bridge, and then we do have some replaced speed knobs here. But if we look inside the case, we do have the original set of knobs, and of course you've got the optional pick guard with the Gilmour signature in place. So that is a nice thing, and these have, I think, doubled at least in value since I started selling guitars. Used to be hammer price around 1,500. We actually got over 4,000 for one during COVID when prices were a bit bonkers. But there we go. We'll have a look at another Gibson, and this one is, there's only one that we can really associate.
It could be.
And although we did have the Frank Zappa one a couple of episodes ago, but for those about to rock,
I know, I was waiting if you were going to do it.
We do salute you. It's the Angus Young signature model. So it's got the Angus Young detail on the head, little cartoon, and this one's from 2007 with the lyre tail piece, the thinner profile neck, and yeah, that's a good example in very good condition with case. What's my age again? I could keep going on, but I won't. This is
not one of the small things.
It's one of the big ones, a bass. Good to feature a bass, I think, every now and then. So this is the Mark Hoppus Blink 182 bass guitar extraordinaire. This is his signature model. For those of you who have tuned in and religiously watched our videos, which we thank you for, you will all know that my favourite model, in my opinion, the best guitar you can get, is the Tom DeLonge signature. I just like the simplicity. I love surf colours. I love the big Strat headstocks. But this is a very similar idea. So obviously you've got a standard P bass neck, but then you've got a slightly offset body, more in the jazz style, I guess, but a bit of a hybrid. And then you've got the Seymour Duncan pickups. So obviously the Tom DeLonge has the Seymour Duncan Invader, so bass lines are basically it's Seymour Duncan's bass range, so high output P bass pickups there. And what more do you need?
One knob
off
and on.
I mean, there are a lot of people, obviously there's much better guitarists than me, very accomplished guitarists who are very good at dialing in tone with the tone knobs. I don't think I've ever once adjusted a tone knob on a guitar.
Not by accident. I've done it by accident once.
Possibly by accident, but they're not for me, so this is the perfect thing. So that is in fact the same colour as my Tom DeLonge Strat. You obviously got the Mark Hoppus plate as well. But yeah, I do love that, and that will be coming up in December. So if you've got the Tom DeLonge Strat, you can have the Mark Hoppus bass, and you can form your own tribute band. We will stick with Fender, and this one is a Johnny Marr signature. So this is from, I think, 2012, which would make it first year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the ones in the first year, they did have a string spacing issue with the bridge. So this one has been corrected, so it's had a replacement bridge to correct that spacing. It's had its guard changed, but we do have the original guard, so you can put that back if you prefer. And I don't know why, but the previous owner has taken the
squiggle,
the facsimile off.
Oh, you can just about see that.
Which you can see the shadow of it, which is a bit of a shame, but then I guess they might have just wanted a very good Jaguar, which the Fender Johnny Marr Jaguar is, but didn't necessarily want the signature on the headstock. So copper finish, there's a few dings on it, so it's obviously been, I think it's been played, but you know, looked after, few marks and wear, but original case, all the papers, and another signature Fender guitar. And another Fender, and in this colour it can only be the Mark Knopfler signature. So in the hot rod red finish, really bright red popping finish. That one does have the signature on the head. There we go, Mark Knopfler. So the specs of Mark Knopfler's iconic red Strat. It's basically in very good condition. There's a few minor marks, which a lot of collectors of the artist associated guitars look for the perfect examples. You can't really blame them. It's a bit of a shame they don't get played, but this one obviously has been played. We are missing the trem arm on this, but that's an easily replaceable to find. Well, it's easy to find the correct replacement, but we do have the original case and tags and papers in the case as well. Now, this is a model that really has escalated in value. When I first started doing this, forget what the retail costs were, but let's just say 5 to 10 years ago as a rough guess, because time just flies in this job. I mean, I've been here well over 15 years now, which is quite incredible really, but this is obviously a black Strat, David Gilmour model. It's got the Gilmour switching mod there. So it's not like the relic ones where they are accurately aged as well, but it is just a NOS version. Has all the associated paperwork and the book in the case. Like I said, these did make around £2,000 hammer price. The first one I ever got for auction, which I said was over 5 years ago, probably even longer than that, probably closer to 10 years ago now. Like I said, time flies. And now they are, I mean, we had one in the last sale of these that I think nearly made, I think it made 4,800 hammer, obviously plus the fees on top. So they've more than doubled in value. I think it's obvious why. Is because of David Gilmour's black Strat becoming a $3.3 million guitar at auction in the David Gilmour sale. So when something like that happens, such an iconic guitar, it's bound to affect prices. But there it is. It's pretty good condition. There's going to be a few minor marks around, but I think we can forgive that because at least it's been played and not just treasured necessarily as an investment, because when it was bought new we couldn't have had a crystal ball and expected the prices to rise how they have done. But there we go, a good example of the David Gilmour black Strat. The keen-eyed of you probably have already seen this lurking in the background. So this isn't by any maker in particular. It's coming from this local collection. The seller sourced the parts from Las Vegas. of all places, and had it built locally in Vintage and Rare in Bath, I understand, by Andrew Manners, who used to work out of the basement there. He's now actually local to us in Corsham. Great luthier. If you ever need anything done on your guitars after you've bought them, you could pop them straight round to him. So fantastic. Looks after all my personal guitars as well. But yeah, it's obviously an EVH Frankenstein, or Frankenstein type, modelled on the Kramer with the hockey stick head. It's a cool thing, and it's just simple, isn't it? Seymour Duncan, one knob, big old whammy.
Give it a wiggle.
Yeah, the old wiggle stick. Yeah, iconic. Another iconic instrument, and probably my favourite guitarist, Brian May. I'm a huge Queen fan. I think there's always a debate about whose guitar will be the highest selling ever guitar if it was ever sold. Who knows what would happen to Brian May's guitar, Red Special original, in the future. But I think if the Red Special ever came out up for auction, I think that would be the guitar that...
It's got to be, what, like top 3 most iconic guitars ever, right?
Because it's not a standard guitar, is it? He built it himself.
Yeah, it was him and his dad in like their shed, basically.
So I think that will be the one. But these are relatively affordable. Obviously, they are mass produced. Korean made this one, in good condition. They sell for between £400 and £600 hammer, basically average £500 hammer plus your fees, so an all-in cost of about £650. You've got the Brian May
added authenticity.
There we go. With the original case. I told a fib. We have 4, because we have the baby one too.
The Micro May.
How cute is that? That is so cool. My youngest son has expressed, 4 years old, has expressed a keen interest in learning the guitar, and I think that would almost be perfect for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Or would I just be buying it for myself? I don't know. But genuinely, I don't really buy guitars, amazingly. I've got a collection that I enjoy, and
you've got your Tom DeLonge, so what else do you need?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I've got the best guitar that exists. So, yeah, this is just really cool. It's a lot of fun, very playable, although out of tune. But yeah, an amazing thing as a travel guitar or something for your child before Christmas. So we do have another bass. This one is not an artist model, but it comes bearing autographs. Now, let's all have a debate in the comments. What do you think about autograph guitars? Because some people absolutely detest it, and I'm sure I'll get some comments saying bit of spirit cleaner on there and that'll clean right up. Yeah, that's usually the comment I do get, but I get it. I get the aversion to it. I also get the appeal of it. So but I think you can put that aside. They're good investments. So you know, people do speculate, people do invest, so you have to allow for that, and essentially this is what this is for. This is actually a very good bass guitar. It's a 1984 Ibanez Musician, so very well made. We are all aware of Ibanez quality. We've got the original case, but who's it signed by? Well, for those of you who can't quite decipher the autographs, 2 legendary bass players, Noel Redding, obviously from his the Hendrix Experience days, and Jack Bruce. So 2 absolutely iconic bassists, and this comes with provenance as well. So it's come from a good source, and this will be one featured in December, and if you look at the catalogue in due course, you'll get the full lowdown. So before I go into artist associations with this, I think the main reason I really want to feature it is because it's a really, really cool bass guitar. It's a 1964 Epiphone Rivoli, and it's probably the best example we've ever had of one of these. I've sold quite a few of them. Usually you're dealing with things like extra pickups added, and the majority of the ones I see, the heads are broken. I think for obvious reasons. You've got the big old angle there. If that goes down, it's going to break. There's no helping that. So, but this is in fantastic condition. Purchased by the owner in 1973 or around then. Now, the association on this one is he bought it from a shop in London, Shaftesbury Avenue, and the shopkeeper had said that it had just been exchanged by the Yardbirds, and this was their studio bass. Now, if this is true or not, we do not know, but the owner wasn't really even going to mention it. He mentioned it in passing, thinking it would have no effect to the value of the guitar, and it probably won't because we got no proof. So, and he's very happy with that. You know, he just thought it was worth mentioning because he is probably the second owner, and that is what the shopkeeper said. And back then there was no uplift in value because of artist association, so it didn't really matter. So the shopkeeper would have had no other reason to tell him that. But anyway, there are images online of the Yardbirds using Rivoli basses. There's an image of Jimmy Page when he took to bass with them, with a Rivoli bass, but we know it's not that bass because you can tell, mainly because the pickguard is different. This pickguard's always been on there as far as we can tell, and you can do things like grain match. So it's definitely not that one, but there is documented somewhere. I need to remind myself of the reference that the Yardbirds did have two Epiphone basses and one was a studio bass. So this could maybe be the one. It's interesting. So a very loose artist association there. But I guess we can say that iconic players have played these, most notably Jimmy Page and the Yardbirds, and other members of the Yardbirds as well. But it's just a really nice thing, and if you want one of the best examples of a 64 Rivoli bass, then this could be it. So we're kind of at the end of artist models and almost at the clutching at straws end of the video to find a connection, but I think we can all find a connection on this one. So 1963 Gretsch Country Gentleman, and who do we think of immediately? Mr. George Harrison. So this is the same era as Harrison's, so we're looking at more Harrison spec, and generally this is in good condition. Now it's a shame that the guard's gone. That screw there is a replacement. Even the mutes work, so you've got the little mute things there. All the electronics are working. The neck has been refinished, although I cannot see any breaks. So unsure why the neck's been refinished. Maybe it was to give it a, I don't know, maybe it's to give it a refret, and the binding's been replaced as well. So maybe that was the reason the binding suffered from.
Pretty free from
yeah.
that it gets.
So it's probably survived. Well, it's probably possibly not survived the classic Gretsch binding rot, and maybe that's been replaced. Hence why the neck's been refinished. But the body appears okay, and with the association of Mr. George Harrison having used this model, it does make them a desirable beast indeed. So last one for today, and twofold on this one. There's a minor artist association because of what's on the case, but it's a really cool guitar, which is mainly why I'm featuring it. I just wanted to try and get this one in there. So you'll see on the case, Emerald City, Crew, Access All Areas, Squeeze.
Nice.
We have absolutely no idea what this refers to, whether Squeeze really did own this guitar, a member of Squeeze, or whether it was used at a Squeeze show. We really do not know. This is from a deceased estate, so we have literally zero information. If anyone, a bit more research needed, and maybe we'll find some images relating to Squeeze and this guitar, but if anyone finds anything, let us know, or keep it quiet and you might be able to no, I'm sure they won't. It will be something that we'll research ourselves to an extent, but look at that. How cool is that? So this is a 1955 Gretsch Streamliner. It's a nice early Gretsch in the Jaguar tan finish, and that is a really cool finish. Now the neck is refinished. Again, we don't know why. This is actually from the same seller as the previous Gretsch. Now I'm going to assume on this one it's possibly to repair a neck, because I can see a bit of shaking in the finish there, so it may have been worked on. Likewise, the binding has been done as well, so maybe it was to repair the old binding rot, but it's a really good looking thing. Nice dark Brazilian rosewood board. It has had a refret as well, which it benefits from, and this is the 6189 model Gretsch Streamliner from 1955. So that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, short but sweet, but we've had some lovely things there, and we will be back next week with a very nice selection of some very nice vintage and other guitars. So we've got some good things pending. They are en route to us, and we are, what are we now? We're basically 1 week away exactly from the deadline date. So watch this space. More things are going up onto the catalogue preview, and as usual, check the links in the description where you can sign up to our mailing list. Be first to know about everything on socials, because most of the guitars you've seen today have already been put on Instagram and Facebook and other social media platforms. So do have a look and follow those if you have them. If you don't, it's very easy to set up an Instagram account. So you can look at pictures of guitars all day long that we've got coming up and start your shopping list early. So the auction is on the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th of December. Guitars, pedals, artists associated guitars, amplifiers, studio audio equipment, guitar spares, including musical instruments later on in the week, other musical instruments if you're after a banjo or a wind instrument or a tuba, you never know. You might have a crossover to the brass instruments if you're watching these. And thanks for watching again. Please remember to subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notified with the future videos, and like the video because it really helps get these videos out there. And just to make sure you don't miss a future episode. We will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.